Hi there. Thanks for checking out who William Shakespeare was. This is a very, very condensed biography that I took from the Classic Stage Company, and their website is right here on this slide. If ever you're curious to go see them, they are a theater company who, interestingly enough, they don't just put on plays, but they actually prepare a whole bunch of material to help understand the plays, which is really cool. So, who was William Shakespeare? First, I think you should realize that Shakespeare actually is responsible for a large number of words that we still use today. He literally, and excuse me for using literally, but he literally invented words. He invented ways to say things. So if you're super curious, you can pause the video and take a look. And this is nothing. I mean, I can't remember the number. I think it's over 400. It might be even more. I can't remember. And I didn't look it up, sorry. But there are expressions and words that we use today that never appeared in English language before William Shakespeare. So whenever, you guys think, oh, why is he such a big deal? Or why are we still studying Shakespeare? Blah, blah, blah. It's irrelevant. Actually, it isn't. It is so relevant, even over 400 years later. So, short biography. First, April 23rd, 1564, William Shakespeare is born at Stratford-upon-Avon. He later on goes to grammar school. Then he marries Anne Hathaway, starts a family, and eventually in 1585 he moves to London and begins his theatrical career, extremely important stage in his life. And from 1589 to 1591, his first plays are a success. So he is first and foremost a playwright and an actor. Now, after he gets success from the first plays, he actually has to stop all theater because of the plague. Sound familiar, anyone? So while the theaters in London are closed due to an outbreak of the plague, Shakespeare actually begins to write poetry, and I'm assuming that's where the sonnets came about. In 1594, he becomes a founding member of what he calls, or what is called, the Lord Chamberlain's Men Acting Company. You need to realize that in those days, actors were men. Women were not allowed to act. During that time, also his only son, Hamnet, now don't get confused, there is a play called Hamlet, but his son's name was Hamnet, and he dies at the age of 11 in 1569. A bit later on, in 1599, the acting company builds the famous Globe Theatre. The version of the Globe Theatre we have today in London is version number 3. So this first version here actually burnt because of a cannon mishaps. So they were using a cannon for special effects during a play, and something went wrong, and the thatch roof, which is kind of like hay roof, caught on fire, and the whole place burned down. So that was the first Globe Theatre. Then came a second one that was taken over when there were some dark years where you weren't allowed to do theater, and then the third one is the one that is in London today. Now, from 1600 to 1606, he wrote his most famous tragedies, such as King Lear, Othello, Macbeth, Hamlet, and the company actually changes its name to the King's Men, which is even more prestigious than before, because they were the acting company for the king. 1609 to 1611, he writes his final plays. Um, and The Tempest is one that I'm familiar with that I really enjoy. I love The Tempest. So if ever you're curious, you don't know where to start with Shakespeare, I would start with Midsummer Night's Dream, but The Tempest is a close second. 1612 moves back to his birthplace, Stratford-upon-Avon, and then you know, eerily enough, for some, on April 23rd, 1616, exactly 52 years after his birth, William dies. So he actually died on his birthday. 1623 is the first time that all of his works, all of his plays were published in a folio. A folio just means one book containing all of his plays, similar to the one I have in class, but of course mine is a modern one. So only in 1623 were his plays available in the form of a book.